Hello and welcome. I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. As always, we'll start with a check of the top headlines. The Justice Department has unredacted names like billionaire Lex Wexner, assistant Leslie Groff, and modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel as Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators in a 2019 FBI document. Trump has vowed to halt the opening of the Gordie Howe International Bridge connecting Detroit and Windsor unless Canada shares ownership and compensates the US for perceived trade imbalances. The White House has updated its fact sheet on the historic US-India trade deal, removing mentions of tariff reductions on certain pulses and softening language on India's purchase commitments. The Chinese yuan has surged to its strongest level against the US dollar since May 2023, trading around 6.91 offshore, driven by a firm central bank fixing and reports of Beijing urging banks to curb US Treasuries holdings. A mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, leaves 10 people dead, including the suspect, with over 25 injured in attacks at a high school and a nearby home. Police found 6 victims inside Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. President Donald Trump escalates tensions with Iran, threatening aggressive actions if Tehran doesn't meet US demands on nuclear and missile issues. In a recent interview, Trump stated that without a deal, the US would have to do something very tough amid ongoing talks mediated by Oman. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky intends to reveal plans for presidential elections and a peace deal referendum on February 24, marking the 4th anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. Indonesia readies up to 8,000 troops for Board of Peace efforts in Gaza. The troops will form parts of the International Stabilization Force under US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace. All right, viewers, we have some breaking news developments now coming in from Iran, where President Masoud Pezeshkian is saying that Tehran is ready for any level of verification of its nuclear program and is not seeking to develop an atomic weapon. Speaking on the 47th anniversary of Iran's Islamic Revolution, Pezeshkian said Iran has repeatedly stated its position and remains open to inspections despite continuing military threats from the US. At the same time, the Iranian president warned that Tehran will not yield to what he called excessive demands over its nuclear activities, even as talks with Washington have resumed. Addressing crowds at Azadi Square in Tehran, Pezeshkian said Iran would not bow to aggression but would continue dialogue with neighboring countries to promote regional peace and stability. His comments come as diplomatic efforts continue amid heightened regional and international tension. Joining me now in this discussion is Peter Baum. He is the editor of the Weekly Blitz and joins us from London. I'm also joined in by retired Major General A.K. Siwaj, geostrategic expert from New Delhi. I'd like you gentlemen to begin with your first comments. Peter, would you like to start?
Regarding the Iranian nuclear question, yeah? I'm sorry, what's your question?
What's your first response to the fact, the statement that's now coming in from Pezeshkian, who's saying that Iran is open for any inspection of its nuclear program?
Yes, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, well, Iran is in a very difficult position because for the first time in decades, she is probably at her weakest politically and probably militarily. Now, what Iran wants to achieve is not the same as what the Trump administration want to achieve. And Trump has been consistent on this. He has 4 demands from the Iranians: to stop uranium enrichment, to stop ballistic missile production, to stop arming and weaponizing and financially supporting the Iranian proxies, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas and Iraqi militias, and also to stop the barbaric repression of the domestic internal opposition. Now, clearly, Iran has come and said, no, we're not going to agree to that, but we will allow a certain amount of weapons inspection of our nuclear facilities. That will not be sufficient for the Trump administration. And on that basis, unless Iran complies, I can only think that the ever-increasing build-up of military hardware by the United States will come into play if they can't achieve their objectives, those 4 objectives which they are demanding of the Iranians.
Right. General Savaj is also there with us. General Savaj, how do you respond? Iran has clearly signaled it's ready for inspection of its nuclear program. It is not preparing an atomic bomb, and it still wants to continue with missile development.
Oh, very kind. See, as far as Iran is concerned, it is very clear that it will only talk about as far as the nuclear issue is concerned and the nuclear weapon. It's not going to discuss about its capping of its missiles production, as well as its regional support to the proxy like Hezbollah, Houthi and Hamas. So the sticking point is this only. Now, as far as even the nuclear weapons are concerned, the point is that earlier the IAEA was could carry out the inspection in Iran, but then they have stopped it. No one does not know whether they have enriched the uranium more than 60% or not. But they are still open for inspection. The reason is simple. Iran does not want a war, because Iran knows that if the war takes place, then there will be a huge damage to Iran. Of course, there will be a damage to US also. US bases are vulnerable, especially in Middle East. Also, Ibrahim Lincoln is vulnerable. So is Israel, because it has already got about 2,500 to 3,000 intercontinental ballistic missiles. It has got a lot of drones from Russia and China. China is helping them in giving them real-time intelligence. So it's not be easy for US also. US is trying to put pressure. US is trying to put tremendous pressure on Iran so that they submit themselves and agree to their demand. And that's how they have initially moved USS Ibrahim Lincoln aircraft carrier group. And now they are thinking of moving USS H.W. Bush, which is again one of the largest aircraft carrier. So I think it's more of a pressure tactic because in case if this war take place, it will be a loss to the whole world, because they will also block Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of oil goes of the whole world. Remember, the oil prices will go more than $100 per barrel. So that's not acceptable to the world as such. So I suppose it is more of a pressure tactic. They had one discussion in Oman, in Muscat. They are now going to have it again after a few days. But US is trying to put pressure, and to how much pressure does it affect Iran or no, time will only tell. But certainly everyone knows it, that in case the war takes place, Iran is not a walkover. Iran will fight it back, and Iran today is better prepared than it was prepared last time, when there was a conflict between Iran and Israel for 12 days, and thereafter the Americans also came in. And this time there is no surprise angle. Iran knows it, that America can strike them when the talks are going on. Last time US has done that. So they are well prepared. They have got all the armament. They have got ballistic missile. They have got now this time best of you can say drones. It has also got, in the sense, the best air defense system which has been given by the Russia S-300, S-400. So it is better prepared, and the US also knows. So therefore the point is, it is better this war is avoided, because the Middle East countries, especially Saudi, UAE, Jordan, they have refused the US to give their airspace. So the options are also limited as far as US is concerned, that they can fire from Abraham Lincoln or from submarine Tomahawk missile or from Israel. So it's a limited from where they can fire. So the surprise angle is not there. Iran will strike back very hard. So considering this, to me it looks like the US also knows it. It's more of a pressure tactic to get maximum out of Iran in the particular situation, because Iran is weakest as on today, but not that weak that you can strike on Iran and expect that Iran will not do anything. Iran will strike back with all might.
All right, General Sivaj, thank you too for your comments. Viewers, some more breaking news, in fact, now coming in. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is now saying that US President Donald Trump's proposed Board of Peace cannot replace the United Nations. Speaking in an interview with an online media project, Lavrov said the new body is an entirely different mechanism and does not match the role of the mandate of the United Nations. However, Lavrov also criticized the UN's Secretariat, describing it as a highly politicized instrument of the world body. He said permanent contracts for UN officials, introduced despite Soviet-era objections, have created deep roots in the United States and undermined neutrality. Lavrov argued that such practices have made the Secretariat susceptible to political influence. The comments come after 19 countries signed the Charter of the Board of Peace in Davos, a body initially linked to administering Gaza and preventing conflicts elsewhere. I'm joined now, I continue to be joined by both Peter Baum and General Sivaj. I'll start with Peter. Peter, Russia had earlier said that it wishes to contribute $1 billion for the development of Gaza. And now it's clearly calling out the difference between Trump's Board of Peace and what the UN is mandated to do. How do you see Russia really calling a spade at this point in time? Was it, a writing on the wall?
It probably was, but let me just reflect on a couple of things here. Many nations have been very dissatisfied with how the United Nations operates and has been structured in the last 30 or 40 years. And I think Trump has played a masterstroke here politically. He won't get too much credit for this in the world's media, but I think what he's done with this Board of Peace has been quite remarkable. And why? Simply because had this structure, this Board of Peace structure, been gone through the usual channels, the United Nations, there would be no doubt that at some stage China or Russia, perhaps even France and the UK, would have vetoed this proposal. Trump has completely bypassed this and gone to countries on a one-on-one basis, and he's got buy-in from those countries. And the United Nations has been sidelined. Now, clearly, Russia, with a veto at the United Nations, has been originally taken in by this and realised all of a sudden, aha, this is an organisation which has bypassed, as I've said, the United Nations, and going forward has challenged the New World Order. Now, it's very likely in 1 year's time there could be another situation in which a similar body, though with different objectives, is created by another US administration, whether it's Trump or not. The logic behind this is purely to create a substitute or a challenge, I should say, to the United Nations without diluting its full power, but bypassing the United Nations, which is now on the sidelines. Trump's Board of Peace can act completely independently without any fear of any veto and with all the absurdities of having United Nations General Assemblies and having meetings, etc., etc. So the buy-in, I think, has been a masterstroke of political opportunity by Trump.
Right. General Sivaj is also there with us. General Sivaj, Russia is, of course, called it out. Board of Peace is not an alternative to the United Nations, but Trump, of course, has gone on to say that its functions can go beyond just Gaza. That's what the statement that was made there in Davos itself. What is it that beyond Gaza that Trump is looking for it to work on?
Two, three issues stand out here, Kirti. One is there is no doubt as far as United Nations is concerned, of late it is not able to fulfill any of its charter. The reason is this is outdated. It was made in 1948 after Second World War. That point of time, it's you can say the five permanent members which were there, they were the most powerful. And whether it is US, China, Russia, UK, or France. But as of today, how can it happen? A United Nations does not represent a country which is the largest population in the world and the fastest growing country like India. They have a very less representation of global south. So therefore, time and again, India and other countries are telling there is high time that there is a requirement of carrying out change in United Nations. It should be broadly now made in a manner which is suitable to the present scenario. As on today, the situation is so bad that these countries, one of them can use veto and thereafter everything comes to standstill. So no denying the fact that United Nations requires rehauling and it has to change as per the present requirement and also the competition and proximities as well as the challenges of the present day. However, this Board of Peace which has been now advocated by President Donald Trump, I don't think it should be able to replace United Nations, because United Nations, whatever you say, is a multilateral, multinational organization. Board of Peace has been now advocated by President Trump. He become the apex as a chairman. He is the only one who will have veto. That there are executive members like ex-Prime Minister of United Kingdom Tony Blair, and also the Marco Rubio and his son-in-law Jared Kushner. And then there are the member countries which are there. 19 of them already signed. Why have the European countries not signed? Because they feel it that it's not going to meet the requirement of the world. The conflicts which are taking place, it will be totally influenced by the US. India has not signed it. India is wait and watch. Why India is wait and watch? Because it is not only restricted to now the Gaza reconstruction activity. Tomorrow they can start interfering even from Jammu and Kashmir, which India has been time and again telling is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan. So therefore the point today is that not too much confidence is in Board of Peace. Is it really able to replace United Nations? To me, it looks like doubtful, because United Nations, of course, need a change. But Board of Peace is no alternative for United Nations, because United Nations still is a multilateral organization. Right. It succeeded up till about 30 years, but of late is not able to succeed because it has to modify as per the new challenges of the modern world. But certainly, I will say Board of Peace in the present scenario will be totally loaded toward one personality, which is Donald Trump as the chairman, and others. And remember one thing more, if you have to become a permanent member, you have to also donate $1 billion.
Yeah,
so,
but that's only after 3 years, General Sivacha. We'll leave it at that, this discussion. Thanks for your comments. Do stay on, viewers are moving on now. Israeli President Isaac Herzog has described his visit to Australia as very emotional during a meeting with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in Canberra. Herzog's 4-day visit follows a tragic shooting in Sydney last December, where 15 people were killed at a Hanukkah event. In his address, Herzog emphasized the opportunity for a fresh start on relations between Australia and Israel. However, Albanese also raised a critical issue, urging Israel to press criminal charges over an airstrike in Gaza that killed Australian aid worker Zomi Francom and others in 2024. Let's first listen into what Israeli President Isaac Herzog had to say, and then we go across to Peter Baum.
This visit has been very emotional. You know, when one Jew is hurt anywhere around the world, we in Israel ache and our heart misses a beat. And that is why it was so important to visit the community and express heartfelt condolences and strengthen the community.
All right, Peter continues to stay with us. Peter, now the Israeli president is emotional, but there are protests that are being staged in Canberra outside the parliament over his visit due to the Israel attack in Gaza back in the day. Now, even if the Jewish committee has sentiments of anti-Semitism on a rise in Australia, do you think that Australia is going to go ahead with sanctions on Israel for the 2023 strikes?
No, I don't. What we're seeing, not only in Australia, but in all Western democracies, are a united front against Israel. And this united front is made up of two main cohorts. The first one is the Muslim cohort, guided by Islamic extremism, and they are united with the far left of Western democracies. That toxic mix has created a global atmosphere of Jew hatred unparalleled since the Second World War. And until governments recognise that those two demographics, the Muslim bloc, the Islamic, driven by the Islamic extremists, and those on the far left of Western politics, until that is challenged, and it is being challenged at the moment, then I think we will concede this appalling rise in Jew hatred. May I say, in many Western countries, and I use the UK as an example, the Jewish community has been supported by those on the centre-right, let's say, and also by our friends in the Hindu community who have stood side by side us, because they know more than most people what it's like to be the victims of Islamic extremism. So there is a challenge, but Western governments, knowing that there is a growing population of Muslims within those democracies because of our lack of control surrounding immigration, are very concerned that they will lose the Muslim vote in any forthcoming elections, and that's what's driving their, let's say, anti-Israeli policies at the moment. But I don't think the Australian government will go so far as to sanction Israel.
All right, Peter, thanks very much for your comments there. We now move ahead, viewers. Now, Indonesia is preparing to deploy between 5,000 and 8,000 soldiers to Gaza as part of the US-led Board of Peace. Indonesian military chief Maruli Simanjuntak confirmed the move after a meeting with President Prabowo Subianto. The force will focus on peacekeeping roles, including engineering and medical units. The multinational force could ultimately reach up to 20,000 troops. However, details on deployment and other operational matters are still being negotiated. Indonesia is expected to attend a key meeting of the Board of Peace in Washington later this month, but no final deployment dates have been set. And now proceeding, viewers, Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif has made a blunt admission about Islamabad's relationship with Washington, saying that United States used Pakistan and then, quote, threw it away like toilet paper. Asif said Pakistan paid a heavy price for its role in supporting US policies in the region, particularly during the war on terror. He acknowledged that past leadership made strategic mistakes by aligning too closely with Washington. The comments have sparked debate over Pakistan's foreign policy direction and its future ties with the US. There has been no immediate response from Washington to the remarks. General Sawach is there with us to give his comments on this discussion. General Sawach, now Pakistan and US relations have seen many crests and troughs pre 9/11 and post 9/11, and now with Donald Trump there are renewed ties once again of US and Pakistan. But this comment of Khwaja Asif is quite telling.
Absolutely. See, no doubt about it. As far as Pakistan is concerned, it is playing blow hot, blow cold.
Yeah.
Pakistan can sort of surprise anyone, and it has this US also. It has taken almost about $33 billion collected from US to fight against Taliban. and the same money was given to Taliban to fight against America. This was Trump 1.0 said. But if we go back to the history, when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, it is that time they have collaborated with Americans. They made a mujahideen and they were fighting against the Soviet Union. And once the Soviet Union gone, and thereafter they were supporting Taliban government, no denying it fact. And then 9/11 took place, and that is the time when it was seen that Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. And that is the time when President Bush warned Pakistan, either you are with us or you are against us. And that is the time when Pakistan took a U-turn, and they then joined the Americans. And the Americans were fighting against Taliban in Afghanistan for about a decade plus. And that is the time a lot of money came to Pakistan, but same money they channelized back to Taliban. So they double-cross Pakistan, double-cross America. They don't deny the fact. Pakistan has made use of its strategic location. Lot of funds have come to Pakistan. All these weapon systems which were earlier given, they were all Americans. Remember, even in 71 war and thereafter F-1683 were given. Why the Americans are interested in Pakistan? Basically due to its strategic location. But Trump 1.0 realized that Pakistan not a reliable ally. So he basically threw them back. Now what has happened is in Trump 2.0, again, there is a sort of bone homing between US and Pakistan. Why is that? There are three reasons. When this India-Pakistan confrontation took place, and Donald Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize, and he claimed that he has managed to end 8 wars. And in that he has said India and Pakistan was the main war because both the countries were nuclear, whereas India has denied it. It was basically Pakistan directly spoke to India, their DGMO, and that's how the war stopped. So the turn pointing took place from there. Pakistan made a use of this situation, and they said that we will, send a message for Donald Trump to be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize, and then the relations start improving on 3 issues. One, that they say they will give a Pasni Island to US. Then they said cryptocurrency business can be done between US, Donald Trump family and Pakistan, and then the critical mineral which are there in Balochistan can be exploited by Pakistan. So Pakistan saw this opportunity. They wanted to grab this, and they came closer to US. But remember, US does not go like this. US sees the larger interest. US knows it, that in case if they have to attack on Iran, possibly they may need some bases in Pakistan. Remember when the Al-Jawahiri was killed in Kabul, the drones flew from Pakistan only. So Pakistan bases have been traditionally used by US. So therefore, saying Pakistan is been thrown like a waste paper basket by US may not be correct, because Pakistan has also made use of this situation, and Pakistan is not a reliable ally. Pakistan can ditch you. Now, whatever terrorism which is now spreading and hurting Pakistan called TTP, this is nothing new. This was created by Pakistan itself, because they have been all educated in Pakistan madrasas. And the point today is Pakistan is a victim of the medicine which they made for others. You remember when Hillary Clinton came in 2013 as the Secretary of State, she warned Pakistan that if you have got snakes in your courtyard and you think they will only bite your neighbor, they will bite you. So I can only say Pakistan is now trying to convey that America has used them, and through them, I don't think it's correct. Pakistan had made full use of America coming into Afghanistan, and they earned a lot of dollars, and they have sort of upgraded their military. Due to that money, they got almost 86 F-16, which are the state-of-art aircraft at that point of time.
Yeah. We've all heard those statements, but it's for the US and Pakistan to remember those. General, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining us with your comments. And now moving on to some breaking news coming in. Viewers, the Kremlin has issued a series of statements on key international and domestic issues, reiterating Moscow's foreign policy positions. Russia said it intends to further develop relations with both Armenia and Azerbaijan, stressing that both countries are sovereign states. Commenting on US-Armenian nuclear cooperation, the Kremlin said Russia has extensive experience in dealing with Soviet-built nuclear power plants. Moscow also responded to reports that the US has barred Russia from China and dealings involving Venezuelan oil, saying it plans to raise the issue directly with Washington. And now moving on, viewers, another news coming in now from Spain. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has vowed that justice will be done following 2 deadly train accidents that killed 47 people last month. Addressing Parliament, Sánchez said the state is doing everything possible to support the injured and the families of the victims while working to clarify the causes of the disasters. He insisted that Spain's rail network is safe despite the back-to-back tragedies that have shaken public confidence in the country's train system. 46 people were killed when 2 high-speed trains collided in Andalusia on January 18, one of Europe's deadliest rail disasters this century. Just days later, a commuter train in Barcelona region hit debris from a collapsed wall, killing the driver. The government has since agreed to invest 1.8 billion euros in maintenance, job creation and rail safety, prompting unions to call off strike action. And we now move on. Viewers, thousands of Iranians are marching on the streets of Tehran to mark the 47th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. A crackdown on anti-government demonstrations in Iran last month has led to the killing of thousands of people in the most violent unrest since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. European Union has designated the Revolutionary Guards as terrorist organization earlier this year after the brutal crackdown across the nation, marking a symbolic shift in Europe's approach to Iran's leadership. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has said that he was considering sending a second aircraft carrier to the Middle East, even as Washington and Tehran prepare to resume negotiations aimed at averting a new conflict. And on to news on the New START treaty. China is calling on the United States to resume strategic arms control talks with Russia following the expiration of the New START nuclear treaty. Speaking in Beijing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian said Washington should respond to the expectations of the international community and return to dialogue with Moscow on post-treaty arrangements. The New START agreement, the last major treaty limiting the deployment of nuclear weapons, expired on February 5 after the US declined to extend it. Vladimir Putin had said Moscow was ready to continue observing the treaty's limits for another year if the US did the same. President Trump described the proposal as a good idea, but no practical steps followed. Washington has said it hopes any future deal would also include China. And viewers, that's a wrap on this edition of the World Report on NewsX World. Stay tuned.